Okay, so today I just want to quickly explain why you have to look at both power and heart rate when constructing your session. So this morning I did something called the Gorby, which is basically kind of 5 times 5 minutes. This really is a typical VO2 max session. So the work to rest ratio is 1:1. And the reason for that is that it gives you plenty of time to recover. And it also means that you can spend more time in these top zones. So today we're looking at around about 110% of my FTP. So you know that's going to be in that kind of top zone. The issue with this is that if you kind of look at kind of the analysis today, so my FTP is 258, it's not great, but then if you look at say like my heart rate or my VO2 max and say the treadmill, we know it's about that kind of 180, 185 beats per minute. And this is where there's this massive disparity for me between say the power and the strength of my legs compared to how well my heart and my lungs are working. So when we did this session, the 4x4, 5x5, if we look at the power, so I'm in that kind of VO2 max zone comfortably. However, my heart rate, we're only talking, is going 140, 130, around about 140 beats per minute in this VO2 max time. So if you look at the time and zones, I've got the right amount of power in this kind of VO2 max zone, but the problem is for power, but when we look into heart rate, it's just clearly not there. It's probably say tempo or even kind of tempo potentially threshold. Now, the issue with this is I'm probably not getting the most from the session because we know one of the best ways to improve your VO2 max, really we're looking to improve stroke rate or the amount of blood you can pump from your heart every beat. So for that, we need to get the heart rate high enough. So in effect, what's happening here is that I'm just not pushing myself hard enough to see those kind of VO2 benefits and instead becoming more of a threshold session. But then the issue here is that because I've got such a long recovery time, it's not a very good threshold session because I'm fully recovering and then not doing those high intensities. So this is where you have to kind of couple these two. You have to think about power as well as your heart rate. And this is another benefit of doing something like a VO2 test, because rather than just using like an FTP as a marker, you can say what's your top end and kind of work backwards. So good session, but it should be making me quit, and it didn't. And if anything, it was the legs that were giving out before my kind of lungs and the heart. A couple of ways you could improve this is firstly kind of spin quicker. So with my, has it got a cadence on here? It should do. With my cadence, I just made sure I kept it high. So again, one of my friends said, just push the cadence higher to get the heart rate, which I did. So I was going for about that kind of 90 cadence, which was better, but it's still probably, my legs were still hurting. I think the other thing you probably could do is do like a fast start or a hard start. So go hard for say 10 to 15 seconds at the start of each interval, push the heart rate up, bring it back down to this level, and that should make sure that you're in that zone. But I think the key one for me is just not get ahead of myself again. Build that FTP up slowly, okay? Get that strength in the leg, get that endurance in the legs, and eventually I'll be able to do this session and get a lot more from it. So think about heart rate as well as power.